Well, hi everybody. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee and meteorologist Joe Rayo here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, which, by the way, is brought to you by our friends at Omni True Value Hardware, Long Island's largest rock salt provider, and also the largest provider of everything you need when it comes to dealing with winter storms this winter. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, just north of the Southern State Parkway, 631-756-1125. The website is omnitruevalue.com. So I guess we should sort of explain what happened last night because
It wasn't our fault initially. I mean, it was. I mean, YouTube went on the fritz, but that wasn't our problem.
no, yeah, YouTube was down nationwide or worldwide, so we waited for about 15 minutes, of course, and then we kept seeing the circle of death. You kept seeing the circle of death. Those
Yes.
of you watching and listening on and posting on the chat board tonight. So uh, we decided to call the show off, and actually, what I we did was we took it off camera. So I decided why don't we just record it, and then we could air it tonight during the live stream itself because I can do that. I can play the video. So we recorded this wonderful 1 hour and 15-minute show, and I posted it last night on several platforms, Facebook, on my subscription platform. And then I got a message from Ruthless Goat, one of our regulars from Loveland, Colorado, who told me that my audio was beautiful, but everybody else's was missing.
Oh,
And when I went to check, I realized that there was a huge problem. So I had to delete everything. So that beautiful 1 hour and 15-minute show that we taped last night, Joe, that we had so much fun. It was very. I had a great time.
it was
We had a
very
lot of fun.
easygoing. Bill was great. You were great. But unfortunately,
It'll be the best show never to be nominated for an Emmy.
as my wife said afterwards, says, "Well, what do you expect? It's 2020."
Well, we're not going to wait till 2021 to try it again. So Bill was very gracious about it. In fact, what he's said, what he wants to do is, since we talked about a number of things last night that require looking at extra data, he's going to do that in the coming days. And his next days off, which come sometime next week, we'll get together and we'll tape it ahead of time. So Bill will be we'll have a Bill Goodman uh, appearance here soon enough. But yesterday was just so difficult. I After it was over last night, after I deleted the show and did all that work, it's like 3 hours of my life that I'll never get back.
Well, I think somebody out there is taking pity on not so much the two of us, but on you especially, Nick Cortez. Thank you very much for hitting super chats so early in the ball game tonight, and hopefully nothing will happen from here on in for this evening.
Right. So I am actually, by the way, I am up not too far from you, Joe. I'm in Westchester tonight. I'm at Mother's.
At Mother's.
Yes, she's
Yeah.
right across the table from me, half asleep. Uh,
Hi,
uh,
Mrs. Chaffee.
yeah, she's out cold.
Huh.
She she made she made a pasta and sauce from scratch for dinner with the chicken cutlets. Uh, that was my dinner. It was good.
And you better say it was good.
Oh yeah, no. She's within striking distance. Or I'm within striking distance, I should say. All
I
right,
remember.
so
I remember when you used to go to visit her when we were at that other place a year ago, or more than a year ago. Which, by the way, will be it'll be on our anniversary tomorrow.
oh, was it? You'd get a kick out of this. So I had to take my mom to the doctor. So we got on the hutch and to go north. I just had to go 2 exits up to Mamaroneck Avenue, and
Right.
my mind went into the I'm driving to work mode, and I almost missed the exit. Yeah, I sort of, I don't know, mentally transported back in time. And then she nudged me, says, "We have to get off this exit." And I was like, "Oh yeah, thank God. I'm not going four more exits up. I'm exiting here. This is good. This is good."
Yeah, tomorrow will be the wonderful people at Verizon who said we were going off on November 15th last year decided, well, we don't really we're gonna cut them a couple of days, and they cut us off on the 13th. And now this year the
Works for
13th is
me.
Friday the 13th. So
Yeah. Well, so look, we're gonna try. Let's keep the show under 30 minutes because I have to hit the road right after we're done and get back to Long Island because I got a few things to do there.
okay.
So we can let's start off. I'll bring up the U.S. satellite loop. I'm just kind of had a it's been a long day for me, so I just uh, I'm a little out of sorts, Mr. Rayo. You're going to have to help me out here. So Ada's moved off the Florida coast and heading to the northeast. It looks like it's getting absorbed into this frontal zone that is still hanging about, and I still think, Joe, from what I saw, that there might be a little bit more rain to deal with overnight and into tomorrow morning, anyway, until this frontal boundary can get out of the way.
I think what we're going to see here, Joe, is just some spotty rain or spotty shower activity tonight into tomorrow. There may actually be, as the remnants or the residual effects of our tropical cyclone passes closest to us first part of tomorrow, that we may actually see the rain become a little steadier for a time. But once we get into the afternoon, we should pretty much, I think, see it all peter out. I think we may actually see some breaks in the clouds toward the end of the afternoon tomorrow, get into a bit of sunshine, and then that should lead us into a clearing sky tomorrow night and at least a nice, bright, sunny start to the weekend. It's not going to be a terrible weekend, but looks like we may see some showers returning by afternoon on Sunday.
By the way, if you look down to the south of the Dominican Republic, you can see some clouds blow off from a tropical wave that is moving through the Central Caribbean now, and that is got a fairly high probability of becoming a tropical depression over the weekend, or maybe even a tropical storm. So we may be just, I don't know, one iota away from iota
Oh,
before it's all
no.
said and done.
Well,
Um,
it's too bad that we had the show preempted last night by technical difficulties. But one thing that Bill Goodman did reveal to both of us was that in his opinion, this tropical season is not going to be ending when we get to the end of November. He thinks this may carry over right on into December, and Lord only knows how many more letters of the Greek alphabet we're going to tack on to what we've already done so far this season.
Well, and each one of these storms is really having an impact on the overall pattern across North America. We saw what happened with Epsilon, and we talked about that last night too. But don't worry, folks. I know it's a show that you can't see because there's or hear because there's no audio. But we will discuss all those issues again when we redo the show and we bring it on at some point next week. But the tropical season is having a very huge, big impact on the overall pattern across North America, and it will continue to do so. Whether it has a longer term impact in terms of how the winter evolves remains to be seen. Meanwhile, on the Canadian satellite, starting to see you got a lot of action coming in off the Pacific. From the Gulf of Alaska into the Pacific Northwest and into California. So it's like some substantial moisture going in there. Meanwhile, you see our frontal boundary that is running up and down the eastern seaboard that needs to push a little bit further to the east. It's going to take another 24 hours for that to happen. But we are also seeing for the first time in a week, Joe, that the northern part of this jet stream from Canada is starting to move a few chess pieces southeastward, and they're going to be coming into the eastern part of the United States, leading to a fairly, I think, a reasonably impressive shot of chilly air for the start of next week, I believe.
Yeah, I think temperatures next week are really going to take a plunge, Joe. I'm looking at, and not only that, not only the colder temperatures, but I think the wind is going to be very active through a good part of next week. Um, a
I've
kind of a
committed to a wind advisory maybe for Monday.
Yeah, I think so, and it's not going to really peter out to or diminish to any great degree. I think we'll still have rather gusty or breezy conditions for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Combine that with the colder temperatures, and boy, it is really going to feel, if not like November, it may actually feel like December. What a change in only a week's time from what we just were dealt, in recent days with these temperatures day by day in the 70s.
Well, this was some anomaly. 6 days in a row of 70 plus. For a lot of places, that was a record, believe it or not. Philadelphia, I saw Mount Holly mention the fact that 6 consecutive days of 70 plus highs in the month of November was actually a record for them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and we had
Well, we
six
had
and
we
record
had
highs peppered in all of that.
we had five. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last night, but at Westchester County Airport, count them, 5 consecutive days of record tying temperatures. Yesterday we tied a record with 67. All the other days this week we broke records with temperatures in the 70s at Westchester County Airport. Believe it or not, though, that was not the all-time string of consecutive record-breaking days. We did have a run in late August and early September of 1953 of temperatures in the 90s, finishing off, I think, on September 2nd, 1953, at Westchester County Airport with 100 degrees. So that still stands as a record in terms of consecutive days, but still not too shabby to have 5 consecutive record or record tying days. And now, again, get ready for the big plunge, so to speak, as we move into the weekend and particularly as we move into next week.
Now, Johnny Quest just asked me a question. He said, on the satellite, what are the clouds that have a blue tint to them? Let me take a look, see what he's referring to.
I know it.
If you're talking about like some of the stuff that's down in well, that's those are mostly low clouds from the infrared. They're just showing up as blue. Those are all low. Those are all low clouds. I'm pretty sure doesn't that look like to you,
Yeah,
Joe?
yeah.
Yeah, they're low clouds.
Sometimes you see in an area around the Bahamas, you actually see blue water. I suppose that's because the water down there is exceptionally blue, right? That's what.
Having been to the Bahamas, yeah, that sort of turquoise color, I guess maybe is the
Yeah,
best way to describe it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's also very shallow, so it shows up fairly well on the on the saddle on that the new Geos, the satellite now that we have. That the detail is just amazing. Radar. Well, it looks like the rain at least is lined up offshore, but some of what might happen very late tonight or tomorrow morning will probably fire up right overhead, the way I see it. And in fact, it's hard to even, at least of the limited amount that's on the radar in terms of the view, the Ada's everything's gone out of Florida now. Just about all the rain's all but done. There's a couple of showers way down in South Florida that probably really aren't related to directly to the tropical storm. But as far as the actual core of precip showing up on the radar, you can't even see it. We do have some heavy rains continuing in eastern North Carolina and down into South Carolina. Joe, they had to shut I-95 down in North Carolina today because the flooding was so extensive.
I saw Joe some incredible footage of the extensive flooding in North Carolina. In fact, on the CBS Evening News, they showed a reporter doing a report about the flooding, and all of a sudden the bridge
The
gets
bridge,
cut
I
off.
did see that. Yes.
That was a Fox News reporter, and thank goodness that she was not standing where the big gap suddenly appeared. But
Yeah,
that was
that
incredible,
can't be a pleasant experience if
right?
you're standing on a spot that's just about to give way to a raging river.
It's incredible,
Yeah.
really.
Rain is also starting to pile into the northwest with the next round of moisture there. And when we look at WPC, uh, big rains for the Pacific Northwest and even for the Canadian, on the Canadian side as well. We're talking 5, 10 inch rainfall amounts up and down, even into Northern California. Rainfall fairly substantial. Kind of cuts off in the middle part of California so that the southern half is dry, and so is the Southwest. But plenty of precip up in the Northern Rockies, and of course, you've got a trough. The troughing is generally in the west, and that is cold, and that means we've got some snow. And WPC on their 72-hour snow probability, I've put up the probability of at least 4, and pretty high across the whole state of Idaho into westernmost Wyoming, and also through a good chunk of the state of Washington and Oregon. A lot of areas have a fairly high probability of at least 4 inches of snow in the next 72 hours, taking us to Sunday night. Sunday night, 7 o'clock. In the east, of course, there's nothing of consequence. Some minor probability of a little bit of snow. I'm going to lower the number down to 2 inches so we can see what's going on around the Great Lakes. And there actually is, at least up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and parts of northern Wisconsin, about a 40 or 50% chance of greater than 2 inches, and a little bit of a higher chance up in northeastern Minnesota. Otherwise, everywhere east of the Rockies is silent on the snow front. Although that might change a little bit because I think we're going to see a little lake effect action going on for early next week, in my never to be humble opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's certainly, those winds that are going to be blowing during the early part of next week out of the northwest, especially over Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, it would not be surprising to see some lake effect, especially so since we've been so very warm. The lakes are so very warm, and now all of a sudden we're going to have those warm lakes overridden by a sharp, uh, cold, gusty northwesterly airflow during the early part of next week. So yeah, I would agree with you.
Uh,
Here come the lake machine.
and Tropical Storm Ada is at 31.6, 80.6. That looks like it's by east. The center is east of Savannah, and moving to the northeast. Actually, the actual center is going to pass not too far off the South and North Carolina coast, but the practical weather that is going to be going on. When I say the practical weather, I'm talking about um, uh,
Practical or
the
sensible?
sensible, practical. I'm talking in regards to active weather, as far as rain is concerned. Now, some of the rain that we saw on the radar is actually being enhanced by Ada as it moves by to the northeast, but it's gradually transitioning into a post-tropical cyclone. I don't think wind is really a big deal here. Yeah, the rain certainly is, and that's going to go on for a while longer. But eventually, the low does pull away to the northeast, and weather conditions do improve. But until that happens, you have still some work to do as far as rain is concerned in the Carolinas, as the radar shows. You can see, still as we showed you a little earlier, but just a reminder, it's mostly confined now to the coastal counties. So basically, south and east of I-95 is where you're seeing most of the rain. And in fact, you have to go actually a fair distance south and east of I-95 now to see any rain out of this. So going forward on the new GFS, there's your low. By the time we get to tomorrow morning, Friday morning, 1 a.m., just about all the rain in the Carolinas is done. And you see how it just sort of fires up a little bit of moisture. There's an upper trough that's swinging on through that fires up a couple of showers tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon. They actually blossom out a bit in New England, but this should move away. And then I think we're going to have a nice Saturday. I believe Saturday's the better of the 2 weekend days. And then, of course, here comes this next system moving across southern Canada to the Great Lakes. It's fairly well defined, as Joe. It's a strong upper trough here with a good-looking shortwave. I always like when you see these comma shapes on the GFS in terms of the structure of the precip. You're dealing with a bit of a powerhouse. And it's got showers. It's moving a little faster with every run because it has showers reaching the coast by Sunday afternoon. So I'm guessing, the speed of this being faster, Saturday definitely has to be your pick of the better of the 2 weekend days. And the front goes and keeps on going. And
I can't believe it, Joe. You still. Your mom still has a phone that rings.
No, mother, your cell phone is ringing.
Is that her cell phone?
Oh yeah, my mother's got a She's got a smartphone. She's
That's the same ringtone I have on my cell phone.
yeah.
Ah,
No, she FaceTimes. She does. She's actually technologically savvy.
huh. All right. Okay.
Anyway,
But she's
uh,
like me. I can't, I was forced into the 21st century with my smartphone, and my it was my daughter who actually installed a ringtone just like that.
yeah, no. Um, we could eavesdrop on the conversation,
No,
but
no.
she's talking with my sister.
Okay.
Anyway, the gradient on this run gets fairly tight for Sunday night and Monday in the Northeast. And also, again, you see the action going on in the Northwest with not much happening everywhere else, folks. Around the country, the weather's actually going to be fairly quiet with just minor changes. But that front goes by. Yeah, I think we're going to see wind advisory criteria early next week. Maybe a little bit of lake effect action. There's a little disturbance that comes down Monday night into Tuesday morning that triggers some snow showers in upstate New York and western and central Pennsylvania into Tuesday afternoon. So I'm thinking maybe there might be a rain or snow shower here during the day on Tuesday as that trough swings on through. And we may have to wait until there's still a gradient here on Wednesday, Joe, believe it or not. So it may stay breezy to windy into Wednesday morning before
Yeah,
things finally calm down.
that's what I said. After the initial windy day we'll have on Monday, I think we may continue to see the winds be rather busy for Tuesday and Wednesday, and maybe even into Thursday as well. So, and that combined with the cold temperatures, we might be looking next week, Joe, at daytime wind chills in the 30s. So,
I'm also noticing, by the way, in terms of the upper air, it's not quite as warm as it was back a few days ago. That's not to say that it can't suddenly turn into something warmer if we get another tropical storm to form in the Caribbean and totally screw up the upper air again. But the heights do actually come down a bit. It's a very progressive pattern. Things moving along from west to east. Uh, there's another reinforcing trough that comes through here Tuesday night into Wednesday. That pulls out. We get a little bit of a flat ridge that builds into the east, but it gets suppressed southward. Looks like there's some action going on in eastern Canada in the longer range that brings down some cooler air Thanksgiving week for a couple of days. And I'm just rolling along. Then, yeah, it's I don't know. It doesn't really. Oh, it's not really exciting me here in terms of the overall pattern. It looks like it's evolving into something, changing into something different than what we've had. What I'm running also now the North America view, so I want to see what goes on up. Yeah, there's like heights building up in Greenland, and it's hard for me to get a grasp on this. I think we're going to be in a state of flux for a while going into the end of the month.
it's we as we said yesterday, which all of you could not hear because we had such a lovely conversation,
Man, we
but
just
we
keep rubbing
talked
it in.
we we talked about the fact that whatever shots of cold air we get, they're going to be short-lived. Maybe a couple of 3 days at most, and then we go right back up into a moderating trend in temperature. So when we turn cold for a while next week, it's not going to be a protracted, not a prolonged spell of many days. A couple of days after, we should see temperatures, start bouncing back up again into the 50s, hopefully, and that seems the way it's such a fast flow, Joe, as you just mentioned, that we're not really going to stay with any one particular air mass for any long particular stretch of time.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't look like we're going to be going back to any kind of big ridge position in the east like what we just had. Again, I would just let me just allow the caveat that in case a tropical system were to come along and change the equation here. Um, I just wanted to bring up really quick the Hurricane Center. We have Tropical Storm Theta way out in the Atlantic at 31.7, 27.4, which is about, oh, I don't know, 500 miles or so south of the Azores, moving east at 10 knots. So that's heading toward, I don't know, the Canary Islands or Portugal and beyond. We do have this disturbance in the Caribbean, which the Hurricane Center has raised the probability of a depression forming to 80% in the next 48 hours and 90% over the next 5 days. I'm going to bring up the satellite of the Caribbean here just really fast and take a look at what's happening. And you know, Joe, this is going to be, I can already tell you, this is going to be another one of these systems in the Caribbean, like we've seen so many times this hurricane season, that is going to,
Gravitate toward Louisiana.
yeah, well, first it has to develop. And we've seen these things fire up quickly lately and develop very fast once they reach once they get into the western half of the Caribbean, which this wave is close to doing. So I think once that happens, we are going to probably see this become what is it, storm number 30?
30.
30.
Wow.
It is amazing. So let's see. I'm thinking because this entire week has left me mentally fried that we will take tomorrow and we'll take Saturday off. Any particular reason why we shouldn't? Is
No,
there any?
we could do that.
No pressing weather happening.
I mean, it's nice to have a couple of days off, especially during quiet weather. And it looks like we are going to have quiet weather for a little while.
Yeah, and I yesterday really mentally just you know threw me for a huge loop.
Well, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's these.
I was out of wine. I couldn't even drink any wine afterward to just sort of calm me down. Couldn't even do that because I didn't have any wine.
No Yago Sangria, huh?
I don't know, Joe. I don't do Yago Sangria. No. It's either a glass of Merlot or Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
But other than that, no, I'm not. I don't do the other stuff.
We'll try a little bit of champagne.
No, but how about a little Blue Nun?
A little Blue Nun, yes.
The one with the pedal pushers. And Jeff Stiller and Mira.
Yes, and we lost. That was another aspect of 2020 is we lost Jerry Stiller earlier this year too. I toasted him with a little Blue Nun that night. So
yes, Mark G even points out on the chat board. He says, "What? No wine? No, just straight water tonight. That's it." And I have to drive, so I can't. My mom has wine, but I got to drive, so no way I'm going to do that.
And my wife posted on the chat board. See, I told you he needed a case of wine.
I did. I really was fit to. I'm still out of it today.
Yeah.
Still not 100%. I'm having trouble completing sentences. So when I'm stressed, I can't gather my thoughts very well. So I have a tough time doing noun, verb, noun. So I think what we're going to do is, because my heart is not, I know the chairman loves it when we do Thriller Jeopardy every night. He always sends it to me every day religiously. And we love it. We love that he does that. But I'm telling you, my heart is just not in it tonight. So,
all right, so we'll hold off on Sunday morning.
I'm going to save it for Sunday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time, right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. And we'll do it then. Okay?
We'll do it.
So, everybody, have a great Friday and Saturday. And by the way, if you're on Long Island, I have to just mention one thing. I've been posting on Facebook, and I've shown that a few times here, some of the color from the leaf changing, because Long Island's always the last spot to change. I got to tell you, Joe, it was amazing this week with the days that we had the deep blue sky and sunshine, and the color that it brought out on the trees. But I have to tell you, I took shots yesterday in the overcast before the rains came, because it actually rained when I woke up Wednesday morning. I forgot to mention that to you. Uh, we had a downpour go by Wednesday morning. As soon as it clouded over, something came in from off the ocean. But it was cloudy through the day, and the the color of some of those trees a day after, it was amazing that some of the reds were so incredible. So do take the time out this weekend, because in another couple of days, I'm here in southern Westchester. All the leaves are off the trees now down here.
Right,
It's all
right.
way past peak. So if you've got peak foliage viewing going on where you are, take advantage of the next couple of days, because pretty soon it's going to be all gone.
I saw some of your photographs and it was beautiful. And yeah, for a change, you don't have to travel to the north. Travel over to the island of Long for the last of the beautiful fall foliage colors.
Yeah, there is a lot, and it is quite pretty indeed. All right, Joe, let's leave it at that. So you have a great night, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you Sunday morning at 11 morning.